be turned in.
Yeah.
For, got a lot of paper today. Not a lot of content, but a lot of. So that'll be turned in with you guys' approval for collection.
What's the name in the prints? I mean, you know, it's got like two names.
Yeah, what's the name in parentheses?
So it's like not even close to the same. I mean,
Maybe that's a person that was renting it. Is he rental?
That must be the owner.
oh, okay.
Well, no. It has two names. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, each one has two names, and it's like-
The name the account is in, and the other is the property owner.
I'm guessing.
I don't know which is which.
So they're all,
That's the first time I've noticed that.
yeah, I've never seen.
And for all of them to be that way.
Yeah, for all of them. I can see if one or two was, because a lot of times people rent the house, you know,
You
the owner's
I
different
just
owner,
read
but
this, 'cause I didn't really
the account could be in one person's name, but it's actually owned by someone else.
I bet that's what it is. But the one parentheses is the owner.
Anyway, we'll go ahead and get started here. I wanted to announce that we applied for an energy efficiency program. Basically, AEP Ohio would like to thank the Heath water plant for doing their part to help reduce the unnecessary electric energy usage in Ohio. Basically, when we put the pump station in at Lincoln we applied for some money in return. And I purchased sample, worked with myself, we filled out the application, and last week we got a check for $6,240. So I gave it to Keith and the water.
Oh, man. Council party. Council party, wasn't it?
Right.
Morning. Give him the information on this, and you know, I'm thinking the AEP contact that I know that deals with that government affairs stuff is Paul Rader. I don't know if Ken has Paul's information, so if he doesn't, you know, mention Paul's name. Like I said, he's the government contact for AEP that I'm aware of. If Ken doesn't have Paul Rader's information, have him call me. I have to give it to him. From AEP also, but you know, it's nice that AEP does this. I think they deserve some recognition for it. So give Ken a call. We'll run with that.
Of course, we can't see that. But this is our water billing accounts, and I went ahead and grabbed it. This is water units sold.
You can read that without my phone.
So we actually, this is 2009, 10, 11, and 12. I graphed it for 4 years. 2009, we were around 402,000 units sold. Each unit's worth 750 gallons. We were low there. Then we spiked in 2010 for some reason. I don't know why we sold more in 2010, but we were up around 400. Of course, there's not a lot of difference. 407,000 units.
Yeah, so hold on. So we're looking at. I'm sorry. So we're looking at 402,000.
Yeah, 402. 402. I think it's probably 406.
406,
250, maybe.
Yeah.
406.
250.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then since 2010, it's been dropping slightly. 2011, 2012, and a lot of it's got to do with people conserving water.
And that's 404,000, right?
Yeah.
Just slightly less. I'm looking at 12. I'm sorry.
12. Okay. Yeah. 2012 was slightly less than 404,000 units sold. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you the trending, and we're on track for 2013, right at about, we're just a shade less than 2012.
So units, that's 750 gallons per unit, so you multiply the difference by 750 and see the actual gallon difference. Okay.
There's not a whole lot of difference there, but you know, when I plotted the graph, it just kind of graphed it on X and Y. It's basically showing that people are conserving website, there's some more. So, that's good, I guess. But then that
What's that do to our revenue?
It doesn't help.
John, is that all water? I mean,
That's all
residential,
water.
commercial, the whole 9 yards and stuff. So
That's
one
all
commercial
water.
user could really, I mean, that would be take a lot of houses to make any difference.
Right.
But
If you have, I know Boeing's not near as active as it used to be, out there at the air base.
They don't use as much water.
So that's probably what we're seeing quite a bit of things. So that kind of shifted that. Which kind of brings us to our next topic, which is the third item on the public works agenda, service agenda, is selling water outside the city limits. And I talk about this all the time, and we're getting closer and closer to getting some results on this. But I kind of got a little question thing here. Selling water outside city limits residential. One question: will people pay for water taps and monthly bill? Question number one. Is there an interest in connecting to a clean water source? Is it economically feasible for the city to install water lines? Is the township interested in allowing us to install water lines? Could a clean city water source make a home more valuable? A home's on city water would make that more valuable. What location would we offer the city water?
So you're saying these are all kind of questions in the topic of.
The topic of
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So how can we obtain answers to these questions and survey the people? So we're working on a survey right now, and I talked a little bit about this last time. This is actually the survey, and it should be in one of your handouts. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can kind of read through it a little bit, but it's just basically saying that we have received many requests in water in your area. Because of these requests, we are considering providing water only in your area. The decision to provide water in your area depends on the amount of interest and economics on providing that service to you. To help us make a decision, we would like to request your help.
John, what else?
Yep.
It's a semantic thing more than grammatical. Instead of saying, because of these requests, we are considering providing water only in your area. That says, on all the areas that we can provide it, we're only going to provide it to you. I think what you want to say is we're not going to provide you wastewater, we're only going to provide you water. So put the only in front of the word water, and that'll indicate that.
So anyway, to help us make that decision, we would like to request your help. If you decide that you are interested or possibly interested in the future, there will be a tap fee and monthly usage charge for water. Current tap fee is $2,500. The monthly water charge depends on usage. Every household uses different amounts of water consumption. 750 gallons of water costs $12.84.
That's the out of the city limit thing.
That's how it's said. An average family of four uses 4,500 gallons of water, which costs $63.94. So that would be their monthly charge. We at the Heath Division of Water look forward to your decision. Please take the time to consider your interest and mail back to the next page with your decision. We want to thank you for your time and consideration. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you might have. And then on the second page, it's got their information. Phone, email address. Please check one below. Interested, maybe, not interested. Then we have reason why only maybe, reason why not interested, questions or comments. So we're really trying to get feedback from these individuals on whether they're going on city water in this area. So that's kind of a rough outline. It's not set in stone. We'll make some corrections, but I kind of wanted to run it by you guys so that you knew what we were doing.
do we have a minimum usage? In other words, so if we did this outside and it says, it comes,
I could add that to it. The minimum charge?
I'm just thinking because if a person like a single person or maybe even an elderly couple, and they go, well, we only use 750
Yeah.
gallons probably a month, so our bill will only be, $12.84. That's good city. But then we hook them up and all of a sudden say, oh, well, there's a minimum charge of
So much.
so much, and all of a sudden now they're like, well, wait a minute, we've been
There are other fees on that bill.
Yeah. And let me,
You know what I'm saying? Just
yeah,
so
I can
someone,
include that.
There's a minimum.
Their minimum
charge,
charge.
$12.80.
the other thing is if they don't use it, let's say they hook up and they go to Florida for 3
You're
months,
still gonna get a bill.
they're still going to get a bill, and they said, well, we didn't use any. We didn't use any here, here, and here, and all of a sudden we come back and we've got 3 months bills.
That's a good
The,
point.
the other charges that are on our bills.
Right, but I'm saying if they says
Are
usage and they think, well, we only use.
Yeah, are those flat regardless of how much water you use? Yeah, that would, I think it's in, you'd want to include that on there, just because you wouldn't want there to be any confusion.
Yeah.
Say, you could make it as simple as, where it says, 750 gallons of water costs, $12.84. Or no, let's look at, the monthly water charge depends on usage, in addition to nominal standard fees, something like that, yeah. Because it's not a huge amount, those things, but it is more than just the water usage that we use.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that someone doesn't look at this and think, with their well or what do they know? They say, oh, we only use 1,500 gallons. Yeah, 1,500 gallons every month. We use that, and and they're like, oh, and we'll go to Florida for 3 months, so we won't be using then. So we can hook up water, and it only costs us this much a year. And then all of a sudden they hook on, and then they start getting their monthly bills. And all of a sudden it's like, well, this is a lot more than we thought it was going to be. And, and then they get mad or
Sure.
they say, well, you didn't tell us that up front.
They're not there for a whole month, and yet there's a $2 bill or a $3 bill.
That does make sense.
Or whatever those regular fees are that we get each month. I like feedback,
Yeah, so we know exactly
areas
how.
that
Yeah. Okay, so we talked earlier about areas that we could possibly provide water. And, we were looking out off of Thornwood Drive in that area, we were looking off of River Road, that area. And of course, we were looking off of Linville Road and Lemar Heights area and that area. And what we kind of come to the conclusion is we kind of like to go to the area where we feel there's the most population, because we feel that we would get an income from that area. And we can feed directly from this area, which is what I've highlighted here. To kind of let you know where we're at here, this is Forest Hills. This is State Route 13. State Route 13. This is State Route 13.
That's Franklin.
This is Franklin. Yeah. This is Irving Wick. So just kind of get everyone familiar. Lemar Heights, Misty Meadows. This is another addition there. This is called.
That's on the other side of the
They
ocean.
call it like Markland and Crestline or something like that. Those are the streets.
Yeah, those are the two streets.
Yeah, this is the two streets here. And then you have Overdrive, Linville, Dorsey Mill. Let's see what else. Dickey Lane. That's over right here. That's Dickey Lane. Terry Lynn, Hazel, Rosemary is on down through. Anyway, everyone's kind of familiar with the roads in the area. So, looking at it, I don't see a lot of problems providing water to these areas. So, what we're kind of looking at here, I went ahead and went into every street that was in that area that I mentioned. Dickey Lane, Terry Lynn, Hazel, Rosemary, Linville, Overdrive, Dorsey Mill, Misty Meadows Edition, Lemar Heights Edition, Crestline, Markland. These are hard numbers now. What I'm mentioning here is if you would have all these people tap on, I just kind of wanted to run a few numbers to see what it was like. So potential income from water taps at $2,500 a tap. And if you give 283 people to the tap on it, that would generate $707,500. Potentially monthly income or usage average family of 4, 4,500 gallons. That's $63.94. It's going to give us an income of about $18,095 a month, or $217,140 a year. Now, how much water line is needed? Well, I figured out that we're going to need about 31,232 feet, or roughly 6 miles of water line to provide water service to that area. 5,280 feet a mile. Divide that into 31,232 feet. That's roughly 6 miles. Cost per foot delay an 8-inch water line, contractor's price. I included the contractor's price. We hire a contractor at $58 a foot, so 58 times 31,232 would be about $1.8 million to provide water service to that area. If we would take the tapping fees and subtract that off, let's say we get to $2,500 and we just put that directly on the amount of money that we need to be borrowed. You take $707,000 off of that, so now you're at $1.1 million. You take $1.1 million and you divide that into $217,140. You would have that paid off in about 5.08 years. Because this is what your yearly income would be, $217,140. Take that 217, divide it into there, 5.08 years, you would be able to pay that loan off. Now this is
making some assumptions here.
You're making assumptions that everybody's going to tap onto it
right away.
Yeah, right away. Okay. That's why I say it's hard numbers. It's just numbers that kind of gives you an idea of where you could possibly go. So I didn't, I kind of just wanted to run this scenario myself and see, is it possible and could it be done? Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I know you know the raw numbers and stuff, but you realize it costs you something to produce that water that you sold to them. So even they're paying double, I would say if you're going to figure a payback, just figure half of it. You're paying double. The first half is what it costs you to produce and your maintenance and anything like that. The second half that you charge a double. That second half is what is total, not total profit, but kind of a profit that you wouldn't have had otherwise. That money, I say, could be used to pay back anything. Because the first half of the money, you had to produce the water. So you got your chemicals, your employees, everything else. Now, granted, if you're producing the same amount of water, the employees doesn't change, that doesn't change, but your chemicals would add a little bit. So it wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But it costs you something to produce the 400 or 4,500 times the 283 people. It costs you something, and then the distribution and stuff, and then that laying of the water line at $53. Does that also include the cost of hydrants every so many feet, all that kind of stuff?
That includes the cost of the water line. I mean, it's about $60. It kind of fluctuates back and forth depending on how much. Yeah. But yeah, it's anywhere between $50 and $60.
Okay.
And when they tap on, do they have to pay the $2,500 up front?
Yes. Yeah. So and these cost estimates that I have up here is just, this is some stuff that I might have shown this last month, but I don't know if I did. But some of these are also for like a 12-inch line. In that area of town, I would not go any larger than an 8-inch. Another thing is when you're laying water line in rural areas, you may not put hydrants quite as close together.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So then try again, and then try on.
So anyway, you may not want to put hydrants every 300 feet. You may want to put them every 800 feet, or every 500 feet, or whatever. Another thing that we look at is if you do put in hydrants, I mean, that's got to be a benefit to these people. And that's something I should have included in there too, is on insurance rates. I mean, it'd have to lower their insurance at a certain point.
If there's hydrants.
And there will be hydrants. I mean, if not, they're going clear in the counter if they're trying to find a pond somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a hydrant,
But what was it? There was that fire that recently took place on, was it Watson Road, out in the township. It was on a Saturday morning. I drove by Station 2, and there was a Licking Township fire at our Station 2, hooked up to our hydrant, filling back up. There was no water, there were no hydrants, there was no water lines out that way. And, so they filled up there.
Yeah. Another thing that we may want to consider too is if you do a certain area like that, and you have a project, and it does cost 1.1 million, and you paid that off over a period of 5 or 6 years, do you want to still keep charging those people double rates, or do you want to give an incentive like after the project's been paid off, you would go on normal rates? That may be something. I looked up in the city. There's like 9 people right now in the city that's paying double. So, I mean, we'd have to treat everybody the same. I don't know if we could do that, but I don't know if there'd be any incentive after the upfront fee is paid or whatever. But maybe we may want to
Might be a come on.
Another thing I thought maybe we could throw in is maybe possibly we would purchase the meter form, because right now there's a $300, $150 fee for the foot-bridge water meter that's not put on. That's something that could be an incentive thing, that we might want to ask.
That's just a cost to
Anywhere from 7 to, depending on the depth. You start getting out in areas like this, the depth starts increasing. So I don't know, it could be anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000, I guess, depending on where you're at. The further east you go, the more likely you're going to go deeper.
And then every so many years your pump will go bad, and then so many years your pump will get hit by lightning.
And then you never know what you're going.
And if your power goes out, you don't have any power for your pump, so you're out of water anyway.
A lot of these places in this area, you can start getting congested area like here.
How many septic tanks are?
How many septic tanks? I mean, those houses are right together. And then also I heard, Bob Hoskison, he's an operator in the city. His son lives on Misty Meadows. And I thought at first, those houses are far apart. Maybe they
relatively new.
Relatively new. He goes, my son can have longer than that. He goes, it's a worthwhile. He said it's black. It's got a lot of manganese in it. It stains.
Really?
He said they have problems all the time. Awesome.
A lot of rust.
So I went ahead, and think about including them on the survey. Now, this is basically the area right here. 283. We'd send out 283 surveys. See what people are interested in. See if we get what kind of response we get. And
So is the general idea? The general idea that we would come down.
Here's your corporation.
That we would come on down, loop around Lemar Heights, come on down, maybe shoot a line up 13 to connect so that we've got, and then come across, loop around, come across, and then tie in back here to have a loop back here off of Forest Hills.
yeah, this is kind of my thoughts, and I would put this portion here with Lemar Heights on the WCLT pressure zone, which is where we have a pipe right here.
Yeah.
Okay. This portion here, I would put on the Forest Hills pressure zone.
On the Blue Jay tank?
Yeah, on the Blue Jay tank.
But doesn't the Blue Jay tank get fed by the WCLT tank? And we have to,
but there's still two separate pressure zones. You have
yeah,
the
but
WCLT
we got
pressure.
to pump the water from CLT to get it to the Blue Jay tank. So if we fed more off the WCLT, that's less that we'd have to pump uphill to Blue Jay to get to them.
It would, we'd have to engineer it, but personally, I think if we could feed from both tanks into that area, I think it would.
Well, that's why I'm thinking ultimately, wouldn't you want to tie one end tied end over here, the other end tied end in front. Somehow it should all be looped.
But yeah, to get two different pressure zones, I'm not sure how they can do that. You know, that's where we run into problems. Now, it can be done, I'm sure. You know, depending on the valving and, you know, you can put pressure differential
Why,
valves.
is the CLT tank higher than the Blue Jay tank?
Yeah. It's vice versa, yeah. I think CLT is a little bit higher than a little bit. There wouldn't be a whole lot of difference. We'd have to look. I mean, we'd have to see which would be the best area, and how we would go about providing water in those areas. But, you know, we've had a lot of interest here. When I mean interest is, I've had people approach me and ask me, you know, Lamar Heights, Jim Watercutter asks me all the time, if Dollar lives in Lamar Heights, what he likes to steer out there. I mean, I've got, my barber lives on Mulber Drive, he's asked me any chance to get city water. I mean, so, there's people that are interested. Another thing that we need to do is, you know, all after the survey, probably before the survey goes out, we need to meet with the township trustees, tell them what we're doing, and say, you know, we're thinking about sending out a survey, and would you object to that, and what's your thoughts, and, you know, make them aware of what we're talking about.
We could just go to a township trustee.
We get a township trustee. Yeah. And I've talked to them before, and they've had good reception. You know, I've talked to the township trustees and stuff. You know, we're not trying to annex you. We're not trying to. We just want to provide a service. And, see if you'd be interested.
Backward, one slide. All right, so, and then this is running a lot. This, you're going farther down south here on this one. Right?
Yeah,
this would be like later.
This would be later on, right? So basically, what you're looking at, see where this juts up in here? You're just basically, this is your system. This is your water system. I don't want to get corporation limits mixed up with water system. So what you're doing is you're just closing the gap here.
So this area here probably has the most potential residential customers right now. This area over here probably has the most potential residential and commercial customers in the future. Yeah. What about down here? Is this Lake Drive or what is it? What about this area?
This area has a lot of potential for residential. A lot of residential area. If I was running the main out this way, to the west, I would be lay a 12-inch. Because I'm honestly thinking that going out Beaver Run Road, I think we're going to see industrial. Everything to the left when you're going out towards Coopersville is going to become industrial. That's where the Southgate Corporation is developing this. And you're going to see, I think you're going to see that development eventually go down Beaver Run. And in that area. I mean, I may be wrong, but that's personally what I see. It's a lot of open ground. This area right here, let's see, two different areas here. Is this storm up? Yes. Okay, so I don't know.
That's seminary right there.
Just this is seminary. This is
that's Beaver Run.
This is Beaver Run. If you can see all this open ground here, and then see right here, sir. These are your industrial, and this is open ground.
So to the east, residential and more immediate. To the west, potential for more heavier usage, but that's projected out. The Lake Drive area would be residential, I assume, right? But that's also projected out.
It's projected a little more out, but it is still in there. But it's more projected. You know, I guess, you know, I mean, we got to try to decide which direction we're heading in. I mean, if we're looking at already established residential homes that may want on because their septic system's right beside the well, I would see a big need for city water. I really would. So I would think that would, and if you look at those rough numbers, I mean, if we get a great response coming back from this, and I mean by great response, 70% of the people say they want city water.
What percentage of responses do you expect to get? Is it more than 100%?
You know, I don't know. We're going to supply postage, so that we're going to make it as easy for them as possible. We'll have the letter. There'll be an envelope inside there with postage already on it. They fill out the questionnaire, drop it in. We'll put a deadline on there. That's something else that we need to put on that letter. Put a deadline on when we want this back, so they don't let it linger and delay. You know.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll read it. I think if they get a letter from the city of Heath, they're going to want to. You know, I don't live in the city of Heath, so they're going to read it. Now, whether you think that, I don't know whether you think to just throw it away. I mean, I don't. But I think, I know if I lived outside the city limits and I got a letter from the city of Heath, I'd want to know what it's about.
You know, when you mentioned about that, and I just reading this letter again, it says, you know, you provide, you know, city Heath provides high quality drinking water throughout the city, and then said we received many requests for it in your area. And they, maybe just to make sure, just the area, make sure it's they're not going to be coming into the city. I mean, make sure that part of this, spell it out more so that we're not looking, you know, it's not
looking to annex
you know,
here or anything like that.
think about providing city water outside the city limits into your area, something like that. You know what I mean? Something to make it so that they don't think that, oh, this guy. Yeah, I know.
That's kind of why I'm holding it right, so that we can.
But you know what I'm saying? If I get this, I'm thinking, oh, they sent this to the wrong thing. They think I'm in the city of Heath, and this area of Heath needs water.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? And it's like it really didn't apply to me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if I'm reading it, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, because you say
We're
area.
not thinking that this is only just within the limits.
Yeah. The city of Heath is looking to expand water service outside the city limits into your area or something like that. And this is not a, you know, has nothing to do with annexation or anything like that.
We have received many requests for water in your area.
Yeah.
Because of these requests, but I can make it more specific.
But what I'm saying is, if I never request the area,
that's where.
I'm just saying, I get it out of the blue and I get this.
Oh,
and
I see what you're
in
saying.
your area, and they go, oh, they sent this to the wrong thing. This is supposed to be another area, and they're not talking about me.
Yeah.
They mailed this to the wrong place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because
That's a good comment.
I'm just thinking, if you got out of the blue,
I would just say the city of Heath provides a high quality drinking water, period, not throughout the city.
Oh,
You know,
okay. That
They
throughout
already know
the
it's
city.
in the city.
Right.
You know. So if you just take
You
that
can strike
part
that
off of
throughout the city.
and then say, you know, we've outside the, you know, outside the city. You know, we're looking outside the city, like you say. It's just
now we have received many requests for water in your area, which is not in the city of Heath. Explain that to them, and you know.
The other thing, John, is you talk about areas and stuff. The area you're talking about there, you know, I've always been against going outside the city and all that. I think out of annexing and all that, my philosophy. So I would hold out more of the industrial areas and stuff like that for annexation to get the stuff.
Right.
That way we get the tax revenue from all the workers and all that kind of stuff, you know, more that way. And the areas out there, I don't think those people would want to annex in because they have to pay city taxes, you know, I mean, some of that stuff, but they may need the water, and if they pay double, and if you can make that pay for your operation and then make a little on top of it, I want to just break even on this. It's something worth doing.
Right.
It has to make money so that the other people in the city, it's a benefit to them for us to do it.
It's a long-term customer. I mean, you get them now and you have them for life.
Right.
I agree with you to a point.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me a little bit about the industrial areas is, especially when you go west, is who gets there first. And basically, what's happening right now in the westward area is you got a big fight for who's going to get what. I mean, it may not look like it on paper, but well, you got Southwest Licking biting at the bit. They're wanting to feed. They're wanting to go from Kirkersville clear into PA, State Route 37, supply down State Route 13. I mean, they're wanting it back. And you got Hebron wanting. They're saying, "Hey, wait a minute! No, wait a minute. We want to go to."
Well, I didn't see the problem getting the water there, but I'm just saying if you want to hook on, we have the water there now. All of a sudden, it's like you want to hook on.
But you were talking about the annexation part of it.
Well,
sometimes you got to be there in order to get what you're going to get.
The annexation.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I know the incentive.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a chicken or the egg.
Right.
yeah.
But what I guess what I'm looking at is if you put water out there and a big industrial person's looking and they're saying, oh, we could go into the Port Authority that has all these utilities and stuff, or we can go out here, we still get the Heath water and everything, but we don't have to pay any taxes, we don't have to do all this. Let's go out here and we just cut ourselves for throat on our own good land that
Because
has,
now we're not getting the
Yeah.
payroll tax.
and stuff. So it's kind of like you got to watch, you don't create a really good oasis out here that, we already got some, so it's
I
like,
understand thoroughly, but
know.
what I do know is if you wait, you won't even have the opportunity to provide water. You're not going to get either. You're not going to get the annexation, and you're not going to be able to supply water. At least if like the city of Columbus, when they provide outside their city limits, they provide wherever they can sell the water. They're not caring about annexation either. They're supplying to New Albany. They're supplying to, all those areas around Columbus. So most of them don't even have their own water plants.
Right. You know what Columbus does with New Albany? I'm pretty sure this is correct. In their agreement with New Albany to supply them water, they have a clause that says if a business uses the water, New Albany will pay to Columbus a certain percentage of the payroll tax they get from that business. I think that's what Columbus, that's the arrangement that Columbus has with New Albany. So Columbus has a way of still selling their water and getting a smaller percentage of payroll tax from employers in that area. And I can double check on that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if they go
I've
to the
heard that
township, there
before.
would be no payroll tax to try to claim. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There is no claim to it.
Wait a minute. Union Township, Union Township doesn't collect a payroll tax from businesses during Union Township?
Your township doesn't have one. Union Township doesn't have one.
The only thing that gets
Is that right?
so much on property tax is that they got to get income.
Yeah, they would get so much, property tax and stuff like that, but not on income. I mean, there's no income. There's very few people, has income tax. It's usually cities and villages and stuff like that can, I don't know if the township can levy a
You might be
tax.
right. They might not be able to.
Yeah.
They limited the property tax.
So I don't know,
But the thing of it is basically I just hate to keep seeing it set and just wait. I mean, we're not producing as much water. We've got the ability to produce water.
Yeah.
So why not try to sell it? I mean, if you look on a map of Lincoln County, you look at Lincoln County, and you look at where all the underground water is, the city he's sitting right on top of the biggest aquifer there is in Lincoln County. And
The advantage
For me,
that Southwest Licking Water District has in this conversation is they don't have to be concerned about the question of would we want this land annexed in or not. It's a water district. It's not one particular municipality. So in their interest is to run lines all over the place because they already know nothing. The annexation issue is totally off the table for them. It's a lot easier for them because of that. They don't have to consider that.
And that bothers me a little bit because, I want to see Heath grow westward. I mean, I just like to see that in the future. I mean, it's good to think about growth and not get netted in, not get confined where we've got North butted up against us Granville, and we've got Southwest Licking, and we've got Hebron, and we're set and smack dab in the middle, and we're done. Our growth potential over. That's why, I keep stressing how important it is to get a line west, water lines west. I feel that's very important. But if you want to look at an economical way of doing it, it's not to go west now. To go west is strictly future. Like when that's prospecting. Like we put a water line underneath the river going to our new well field. Well, we didn't hook it up, but it's there, so when we use it, boom, we connect. We spent that money because we felt in the future someday we're going to have to use that well field. That's where you got to look west. Is someday that's going to develop. Anything between Heath and Columbus is going to develop. It's going to be very expensive to develop this way because of the hilly terrain. And another thing is, and I mentioned this before, is the difference between water and wastewater. Is wastewater is already set up. We know what we have. They did the, what do we call that there? They did a study on how the land lays, what can come into us, and so forth.
Oh.
So we're tied into that. But on water, it's first come, first served. So if you want any customers west, or you want any customers, I'm not concerned out here. I think we got this pretty much locked up. We can develop this and do this whenever we want. But when you're talking west, you're talking competition.
There's really nobody else. The only other water producer that could, in any way, shape, or form, go that way would be Heath, and they'd be going uphill quite a ways.
And they'd have to go way out around.
Yeah,
to even get.
that would be expensive.
We're already there.
Yeah.
That's why it would be stupid. That's why I don't want us getting in that situation west, where well, Newark's already there, Hebron's already there, Southwest Licking's already there, so we might as well forget it. We're done. So we're just going to do whatever we can here. And that's it. I don't want us to get in that situation. I want to say, hey, we got 12-inch water line running out Beaver Run, stuffed off. When that develops, boom, we're there. But anyway, that's a lot.
Well, that's a tough question. That's a tough question.
I mean, you got to really be futuristic, and sometimes being futuristic lays your head out on the line. I mean, yes, they'll come, but when? How long? Economy picks up, things start going, could be fast. If it doesn't, it can linger for a while. So we've got so much money invested out of it. It's got to be money that you're willing to invest in.
Good.
Well, how far out west would you want to go on Beaver?
Personally, I'd like to go at least to 37. I mean,
Because
I think going out Beaver Run, Canyon Road, 37, that area in there.
I know there's not a lot of residential there. I know you think about the industrial extension, but I know the water up there's terrible. It's high in sulfur, and I mean, I can imagine the people if you were out that way. I know, actually lived in a house in Canyon for a short time, and it was. I mean, your tubs were red, and it was just terrible water. But I know
The problem is you don't have the density of
that's right.
people
They're
there
just
right
spread
now.
out. Yeah. So you had what kind of return would you be getting? But if you get something, some people would probably look at.
And honestly, I look at, okay. If you're going to talk about industrial growth, one of the keys is that you've got to have adequate roads to handle the industrial traffic. I mean, we're still trying to get Thornwood Drive to a point where it can more easily handle industrial traffic and get tied in well to that 16 interchange. The idea of industrial growth happening out here, if I'm the industry and I'm looking at greenfield sites,
No way.
it's so far out in the future. I mean, it is so far out in the future because this, first of all, Thornwood Drive would be first.
You're
This-
hoping.
Well, yeah.
You're hoping.
No, as I'm looking this way, this is going to have, this would fill in first because you've got easy access coming down to the connector road. Okay. And then, as I said, hopefully, we're going to have a good access up here to 16 off of Thornwood. So this area here would fill in first. Now, not only not only do you have to look at, okay, what's the quality of the roads here, if they're poorer, you also got to consider, well, what's Hebron have in the way of roads? What's closer to I-70 have in the way of roads? What's closer to 161 have in the way of roads? What I'm saying is that it's so far out into the future to think that this area, for industrial purposes, is going to have the network of high-quality roads that's going to be able to get them easily to I-70 and or 161. And that's the key, is you still trucks. How easily can you get them in? How easily can you get them out? And the whole sphere of central Ohio and all that's available, it could be so far out. Now for residential, I think residentials would happen actually quicker, because residential doesn't necessarily need to have as high a quality of road. You know, if you've got a nice piece of land, some nice views, you might develop a housing addition in there and put in some, 2 or 3 acre lots, and people buy them up because they're out in the country, they got nice views, the sunset looks beautiful, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's a whole other ballgame than industrial. What's the power like out? What's power like out? Do they have 2-phase power to get to these sites? That gets a lot harder.
I understand what you're saying. The only comment that I would make on that is that, you have State Route 79, which is a big thoroughfare. You have I-70. You have 37, which isn't wide, but there's a lot of traffic there. So I could see Beaver Run being developed into a bigger road, a larger road in the future.
Eventually.
Eventually.
I would agree.
If I was going to
That's looking out a ways.
I was going to say, is that
Looking out
30
ways.
years out? Is that 50 years out? I don't know.
or is it 5? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. All I'm saying is, we got to define our lines in the city, and if Hebron puts a water tower right up against our border and supplies water for Beaver Run, or anything like that, whether they'll do that, I don't know. But let's say they do. Then basically you're saying, okay, even though we spent millions of dollars on water on Seminary Road, have an underground and above ground, $500,000 gallons of water underground, 500,000 gallons of water above ground for the higher pressures in the district. We've developed that. That's for Heath, but also for future development too. Are we going to be comfortable with that? And personally, I would just like to see us someday just run that water line, say, hey, this is our border. Our tank's here. And we're supplying.
Where's Canyon?
Canyon is right up here. Beaver Road, right here. Canyon. No. Yeah.
You're probably right.
This could be Canyon.
Yeah.
It's either here or here. This may be 37. No.
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not,
far
it's not
enough.
far enough away.
No, this is probably Canyon. I'm guessing it's Beaver Run, Canyon, Seminary. Right out here. Anyway,
Hey, John, question for you. I don't know the answer to anything. Like, sewer-wise, you put a sewer into especially in the city, put a sewer line in, someone wants to come in, they can't put in their own septic system because there's sewer available, all that kind of stuff, okay?
or within
All right,
200
feet and all that kind of stuff, okay? Now, a water line, if there's a water line available to them and the person buys piece of property, can they still sink a well, or do they have to go? Now, I know in the city we'd say you have to go in, but outside the city you don't have to control that, like in a township. Is there any EPA requirements or anything that if
They have to sink a well? They have to connect on?
yeah,
I don't think so.
not water, not like there would be for
But
sewer and stuff.
Common sense tells me if I was a
I'm not
contractor,
sure
Yeah.
exactly.
I'd spend $2,500 for a connection to the city
Yeah.
pad before I spend $7,000 or $8,000 for a well.
Well, Well, the reason I ask that is the simple fact that if we ran ran a water line out there because we think, oh, they're going to hook on the like that. And industrial comes in, industrial says, well, we can sink our own well and supply our plant. We don't even need. So, so what I'm saying is, we spent thousands of dollars, hundred thousands or whatever, to put a line thinking for the future, and then we got no bang for our buck because someone else come in and said
no insurance.
they don't need water other than for the restrooms and stuff. So it's like, the heck with you, we aren't going to hook on
Tell you
anybody.
what the incentive is.
Yeah.
Is the EPA's made so many restrictions now for public water systems.
Right.
And what a public water system is if there's more than 25 people in that location for more than 8 hours a day, that's considered a public water system. So
Okay.
If they sink a well and they're supplying
They've got to
water
have
for
treatment.
drinking for their employees and stuff, then they've got to have a certified operator to come out and man that. They have to have so much treatment. They have to run testing, every yearly testing, monthly testing.
Well, that's what I was looking for. I was
Yeah.
looking for
Well,
a reason
and the other
that
thing too
they
is
wouldn't.
that they would have to, okay, I guess it'd be like this, when we put the water tank up on Seminary, Port Authority dismantled the water tower that they had because they no longer needed that elevated water for fire prevention reasons. Not only are you talking about sinking a well down, but unless that business wants to pay through the nose for insurance, they're going to have to put a tower up so that they have storage for fire. And
It's a good point.
I mean, that's
Very good.
Well, I was just looking for reasons to do it. You know what I'm saying? That we got to guarantee.
I think there would be an incentive.
Yeah. Because I know
think so.
in a sewer. See, if you put a sewer line there, then you pretty much know when people develop, they're going to have to hook on. Because the EPA's going to say, no, you got a public system. You hook into it as opposed to putting your own septic system in.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed there. But water, I wasn't sure if you were guaranteed or not. And that's where I was trying to think. Okay, how could we? If we build it, they will come, but we will build it and they have to come. Is what
I
I
think there's an
was
incentive there.
Like
what the mayor said, with having to have so much fire protection,
Yeah.
having to have an operator that's on staff, having to have the treatment, having to have testing, yearly and monthly testing. I think by the time you get into all that, they're going to say, well, where do we test?
Yeah.
When you look at the map, the reasons why it's easy to provide water to the east side, those are the same reasons why it's very difficult to provide wastewater service to the east side. Right? You'd have to have a lot of pumps, a lot of lift stations. Okay. How about to the west? The west, isn't that a higher elevation? Aren't you going a little uphill as you go west?
Yeah, as you go west, you're going uphill.
Okay.
So,
So that area that you're talking about, is that a wastewater area? I mean, would it be easier to do wastewater?
we can do it, but you're involved in pump station, you're involved in lift station.
You still have to lift?
And then you still have to get approval from the EPA because of that 501 thing. I mean, if you go outside of your limits, you have to provide a reason why. Well, we're putting in this many lift stations to get the sewer back to our wastewater treatment plant. We have the ability to do that.
It's going to surely, the EPA wouldn't mind seeing wastewater lines run so that people go on septic.
No, it wouldn't. It's just the cost. It's the cost involved in providing. Water is so much easier to provide than wastewater.
But if we went to the west and we had to push the water up, if we had to push the water uphill to the west, couldn't we gravity the wastewater downhill?
Yeah. 2 points, yeah. And we'd have to look at it and see, but yeah, I didn't say that, yeah, there's gravity available. There's gravity available.
Would there be any grants available?
I ask those questions all the time, and grants are so far through between, but, there's possibilities. I think another thing that we need to touch base on this is once we get our survey done, is we need to meet with the county. And we need to say, look, we've got 283 residents here, and out of that 283, 200 of them want to go on city water. How can you help us get water to these people? Is there anything available? I don't know if there is. The thing of it is, you know, I'd take, place out there, Crossroads, where they're wanting to, what's that one community out there that's having sewer problems? They're wanting to run sewer out, straight Route 40. Jackson.
Jacktown?
They're wanting to implement a tax on them, people for running sewer line out to them, because I know they have some sewer problems in that area. So they were going to, if there was grants available
I was
countywide.
gonna say, I bet you the EPA would be more apt to release funding if they knew of a problem that was trying to be fixed. And the EPA ain't gonna release money just because the city of Heath wants to have more revenue coming into the water operation. But if there's a problem out there that the EPA is aware of, then they might.
Problem. I mean, if you really wanted to get down and say, okay, EPA,
Go test these
go
things.
test these wells, you tell me if there's a problem.
You need people being sick. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, seriously, if you know, people are getting sick from drinking their own water and everyone has to start drinking bottled water and all that kind of stuff, then, you know.
I mean, you know, if that person's drank that water all his life, for several years, he builds up an immunity from that. But you get someone that comes to their house from out of town that's been on city water all their life, and they could get sick. I don't know. So anyway, just want to let you know we're moving on that. We're working on a database right now in that area, and then once we get the database established, we will put out the surveys. But we still want to contact with the township and make sure that they know that we are going to put out the survey. And they take one to one of their meetings or phone conversation. I don't know which would be the best, but we can do whatever make any difference. And just kind of, you know, pose the question to them and tell them that it is a survey. You know, if you don't have interest in it, well, we're not going to deal with it. So it's assessment. But if there is an interest, I mean, then I think we need to look at it hard. You know, I may be doing all this for nothing. I mean, we may get the surveys back and nobody's even interested in it. And you know, so maybe we need to let it go. And, that may possibly happen.
Worst case scenario, you get one person in each different little spot. So that does you no good. You got to run all that water to get, you know. What you want is you're going to get 10 positives, have them all 10 be right together. So it's like, okay,
I think it's real important on this level. And I think it's real important on the survey questions to get the right feedback. And what you guys have provided to me tonight will help me with that letter. And, you know, I want it right up front, you know, so that they can understand what's going on. And maybe get their township trustees on board with it a little bit too. I know they've had issues with either septic systems or water or wells or something that they know about. So, you know, when we do meet with them, maybe that will give us some insight to on whether or not this is even worth putting out. And that's
You did, that one gentleman was there that has that mobile home park. He wants his water back.
That's pretty far south.
that's the next step.
Way
After
south.
this step. You know, that would be the next step. But what you gotta understand is that's all downhill. And we're uphill. And we can provide. When it's that way, you know, now vice versa, we want to get the wastewater. I want to go this way with the water. So, anyway, I want to discuss a little bit about water distribution, and I'm on the water distribution section on number 4. Just want to mention, I'll try to move things along pretty quick. Water distribution, hydrant service been repaired this month. We've repaired 6, curb box adjusted 5. Existing services replaced, we replaced 2. Blue Jay Road replaced from Corporation Stop to valve box. Final readings, we had 68 final readings for the calls we had to go out. Work orders are 44. And hydrant painting, we painted 3 hydrants. So that lets you know where we're at on the distribution. This is actually one of the curb boxes that we had to adjust in someone's driveway.
Wow.
What happened is they wanted the water shut off. The tenants were moving in, and we couldn't shut the water off. So that's how we found out the box was set sideways. We couldn't get on to shut it off. So what we have to do is we have to go down, we have to dig it out, cut the adjust the box, and then we will reconcrete that driveway. Water plant improvements updates, discuss variable frequency drives on the high service building. This is the improvements that we're doing at the plant. High service building being exposed to chlorine, how we're going to address that situation with the frequency drives, VFDs. High service pumps to be delivered in mid-October. Subgrade to be tested for compaction, which has already been tested. On the bottom of the clarifier, they have to test that for compaction to make sure that the concrete's not going to sink when we put the concrete on top of it. That everything's worked out well on that. Talk about mechanical seals versus packing on the pumps. Concrete work start on the slab first week in October, so we're getting ready, close to starting to pour some concrete on that clarifier, and possibly moving the raw water line. We're close to discussed. These are a few pictures of the construction going on there. Those were the 2 existing clarifiers. Feel free to stop down anytime you want. It looks kind of like a disaster area right now, but it's coming along. Finally, we get to the point where this portion right here, we're actually starting to get ready to pour the concrete slab. That's what it looks like. And it's even a little bit advanced now. It's out to about this area right now, and we have another construction meeting tomorrow on the next.
What's that line right there? Is that the raw line?
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
This is the one that's going to be the big discussion. It comes down here, and then this big piece of machine sitting on top of it right now, and it runs through here like that. So they're wanting to reroute that a little bit further out. But what we got to watch is for another clarifier in the future. We don't want to take up too much ground. The other thing I'm going to tell you what's looming in the future too is the home right beside the water plant is going to have to eventually be ours, I think. I'll know more after tomorrow. But if you want to expand the plant past 4 million and go to 6 million, you're going to have to own that lot beside the water plant, which is the house. So just kind of give you a little heads up on that. I know it's been for sale a couple times that I know of. We brought it up, mentioned it, hasn't been a priority. But I think from this point on, if that home comes up for sale, I think we need to think about it. Anyway, that's more pictures. This is the actual center of the clarifier. This is the center of the clarifier where the mechanism will rise and go down to the bottom. There'll be a big bearing right here that will move the different things like that. And I had to throw in some concrete. That's Bob Hoff's son. I kept telling him, I said, when you go out there, you got to wear hard. So he thought he was going to be fun. His hard hat on. He calls me out and says, "Hey, come out here. I got my hard hat on." So he took a funnel from inside the plant there and put it on. He said, "We had real hard hats." Believe it or not, but he decided he was going to put that on.
That saves city money.
Yeah, I know. And really, it wouldn't affect him if he got hit in the head with that on. So I mean, he'd still be the same. So it wouldn't make much difference. I wanted to talk briefly about the culvert out on Formwood Drive. Things are moving along real good with that. We had to reroute the water line out and around that. We put in about 100 feet of water line. We completed the bacteria testing on that, so it's back in service. So now when they widen that culvert out there, and they widen the road in the future over there, once that road widens out to that Formwood Drive area, then we're ready with the water line and everything. So we're set. This is some pictures of them. We had to run water for so long in order to get the bacteria test. These are the hoses and everything laid out there so we could run water, not run it all over the road. So for that's a 2-inch blow off that we run periodically while we were getting bacteria tests. This is them actually getting rid of the old culvert. This is the concrete. There's across Thornwood Drive, and then that will be repositioned. And that's done with water. We'll go ahead and talk about wastewater plant now. Some of the stuff that's been happening at the wastewater plant, we correct daily counts on lift stations. Westerman came in and did that for us. Somehow keeping track of how often the pumps run, so they would all be on the same page. So when we look at it, we're looking, everyone's not all set different times and so forth. It was bringing it into real time so we can see how often the pumps and everything run. Corrected problems on the water pumps not showing alarms. We're in the process of doing that. Maintenance schedule was developed on an Excel spreadsheet by Carl Bosehart for some of the maintenance that's done at the plant. So that was done.
Oh, plant maintenance,
Yeah,
not a
plant
collection
maintenance.
system.
Hose digester down and empty 4 and 3 digester. We drained clarifiers, gear reduction system, we replaced oil, and then we recently had a meeting with the EPA on 9/18, and they came in for a short visit to see how we were doing. It was went really well. I haven't seen, I assume that we'll get something back on that one. Usually when they stop in, that they send a letter out. I know it was an informal, but I think we still get something. Wastewater billing, I know you guys can all read that, but I did graph it to 2009, 2010 was the peak, and we're showing this slow drop again in the wastewater consumption. And I do believe a lot of that's industrial. I think a lot of industry is not here. So we're showing it on the collection system update. This is some of the fence box around the station. Flush sewer line on Ball Court. Vacuum out manholes on site of the job. This is Fox Run update. This is them grubbing out the back section. The latest sewer line is actually much further advanced now. This is where the sewer line will be laid. This was the jack and board machine coming in. Where we jack and board. I can't remember. We talked a little bit about this jack and board last week.
Last month.
Yeah, last month. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, we're putting in the jack and boring system. We did have a change order on that, which you guys have already approved. So we ran that. These are gentlemen working down on the side. It's pretty interesting to see how they do that. But this pipe is all shoved underneath, correct? And inside that pipe is the PVC 8-inch suit. I'm sorry, 12-inch.
That's a 24-inch pipe.
24-inch
Casing.
casing. Nick's been on the job and seen us through from start to finish. He's done a really good job. And this was Scioto that was completed, and it's been seeded and taken care of, and they'll all be done that way. They did take a 2-week break, but they will be back to seed some additional. That's across the street. That's right beside TCI. Quality Farm Fleet, called TSC. And then this is in front of this is Golf School. I don't know if you saw previous, but there used to be a gigantic hole out here, and it looks a lot better now than what it did when we were around the construction. That is another picture of this implementation. I think it's really tore up. This is more of a jack and board. Jack and board. This is actually them setting one of the manholes. And we had how many manholes set to? 7 manholes on that. So,
Yeah.
and I do want to tell you that it is on gravity. Nick did the tests on all the lines and verified them that they were correct. Pat's job that the mayor saw here a little earlier was one of the lines that did not hold, and this the rubber seal rolled, and it would not pass the test. So they knew something was wrong with it. They went in, cambered it, repaired it, grounded it. Maybe you want to talk briefly about that. I mean, basically, how did they?
I mean, that was the only spot in all of the jobs, both sides,
Where there was a
Fox Run that had any problem.
So long term, is that spot stronger or weaker than
I don't-
it's not
they
stronger
probably
or weaker, I say it's the same.
Yeah. They run a camera up there and they have this unit that follows the camera. And it stops. There's a gap in the middle, it's got several holes. And basically it's two airbags with this gap in the middle with a hole. And then they run hoses up the center of it. When they get on that spot, that joint, they inflate the airbags on both sides of that joint.
Okay.
And then they inject that stuff up those hoses so that it comes out and it has to go in that joint. And it
Because
fills.
of the holes in that.
Yep.
Okay.
Because they can't go anywhere but in that joint
Okay.
until it stops.
So it seals it up.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. They call it a grouting, but to me it looked like a fiberglass resin type of stuff.
And this is running along the backyard. I haven't really had too many complaints from the neighbors as far as,
No,
I think one lady called to ask when it was gonna be done. It's the only thing.
Somebody thought there were more houses going.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, there could be now, that's gravity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could be developed into something, on the other side. And this is the actual lift station that will be going away. You say the fence is down, gone,
that's gone.
and then this generator will be put at, Woodland. And,
The lift station's gone.
Well,
station.
it's all gone.
Yeah, it's not working, it's not running.
We're on gravity. We pulled the pumps out today. And we still have some valving to take out. And like John said, that generator has to be moved, electrical boxes and so forth.
And I called AEP to cancel the electrical, so we no longer run electrical.
And then once all that's done, they can come in and demolish the tanks and finish up the seating.
Hey, John, may we get another check for saving a energy?
Yeah. Sometimes you can apply for that. Because, we may be able to work something out. I know we have other projects that, that are going on, especially at the water plant, the high service pump, definitely got to be more efficient.
2 points for Heath.
So maybe we can apply for another, something at the water plant. On the right person. Does anybody have any questions?
This is about water. You've been reading the headlines about the brain heating and whatever it is, that they're actually causing with the south.
As far as like just gradient or something
Well,
water, you mean?
Yeah, I think it's hit mostly people that flush their sinuses with tap water. And some of the streams, the freshwater streams. But one parish in Louisiana, their city water's fine. Yeah, so they're drink a lot of water.
Normally, they have stuff that will solve that problem. Usually, it's called microfiltration. It's kind of expensive, but they are putting that in where it will take out kind of minute organisms or whatever. So, if people more prone to that are probably people really deep streams that have surface water treatment. The groundwater is not near as common in groundwater because it's so deep. And there's several layers of clay that separate the water that we're using. Plus, there's a natural filter process that travels down to that aquifer. Filter down.
And it's not there because I don't know, it has probably sea level.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of that. But did they say well water, or did they say what the city water supply was?
This is, the city water's fine.
Yeah, but did they say
Somebody
the
that
surface
business
ground?
there from somewhere else. And, out
Did
of
it say if they were
out of
drawing the
100
water
and
from a lake or from a
some-
river?
this is from the city water.
No. What I mean is,
Oh, the city gets the water.
city draw it from a
Oh,
lake.
Yeah, they already on the river.
That's what he's saying.
But, out of 100 and some people, there's only been 2 survived. Once they got
And where's this at? Is it in the
well,
United States?
Yeah,
Yeah.
several different states, but Louisiana, Florida's been one of them.
Flesh eating something.
Yeah.
It's brain, it eats the brain. There's
Florida,
one place you can do it.
Florida is, you know, they draw water out here, and then they inject their sewage here, and then, you know, and then it's kind of all tied in together. So,
But they, yeah, there's only one place just to get in, do the brain. And it's up in one little place up in here.
it's almost like they're kind of healing it, or like they're.
Well, if it's like you swim underwater, so like that, you'd actually get water in, then you know,
Yeah.
it's a good way to get it. And swim in, like, you know, ponds, lakes, and stuff like that. If you use tap water,
6:45, our meeting.
use it for.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The little neti pots.
Are you taking notes for?
Yeah, that was one of the things
That's
that
good, then I'll go ahead and give you that. It's just a bigger version of what I passed out to you, so you